Hey guys, it's Dan and Joe, Merlin, aka Merlin. Today, Poe, too. You're wearing the Poe shirt.
Poe shirt.
When it rains, it poes. I wore Busch Gardens. Mine's not a
Ooh,
pun.
that's fine though.
Some good rides,
It's good,
but not a pun
Virginia,
shirt.
represent
Yeah,
tourism
represent Virginia. And today we're going to represent the old country
for
and
old blood.
the old blood.
There will be old men.
There will be old men. Listen, these two movies.
It was a good
This is a
pairing.
good double.
Yeah.
One of the best pairings I think we've done.
Tonally,
Tonally,
very like it's
and
almost
same year.
same
These
year.
are both in an anniversary year. So before we get too far into it, it's No Country for Old Men and
There Will Be Blood.
There Will Be Blood. You saw that in the title, I'm sure. But
Hopefully,
but this is Dan's big movie for the month. These movies are both now 15 years old.
wow.
No Country came out first, and then There Will Be Blood came out, I think, right around Christmas. What a feel good
Christmas movie.
only because it was for the Oscars, but yeah, what a feel gooder.
Wow.
So I had seen our history with the movies. I had seen No Country when it first came out. Remembered some of it, but to be honest, a lot I did not. I forgot completely about Woody Harrelson's character.
Oh, you did. Yeah.
There were a few things I really forgot about, and then There Will Be Blood I've never seen.
Mhm.
But you had seen each one at least once, right? Or just once?
Just once for each of them years ago, and I had a pretty clear memory of most of the movies, but like you, I probably need to rewatch it and did forget details.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and we'll get into the specifics, but yeah, a movie like No Country, there's a lot of details.
Well,
Like there's a lot going on with surprisingly little, but in the way of actors. There's not that many characters.
no, they're both very limited for that.
Scenery, but we will talk about the cinematography for both of these movies.
Well, they're movies that definitely both could benefit from rewatches. I think
I think so too.
things to look up and
Yeah.
study for sure. Which
Yeah.
a lot has been discussed about these films.
Yes.
And I think we agreed. We understand why.
Yes, I think so as well. So with these Dan's Big Movie, if you don't watch them regularly, this is spoiler city. We're gonna dive in deep on these movies,
Yeah.
and say some things. So if you've never seen them and you want to, maybe watch them first. We watched No Country on, I think it was
Weeks ago.
HBO Max, I think.
Yeah.
And then There Will Be Blood.
DVD.
Well, my DVD didn't work.
Oh yeah,
Remember?
we kept having
So,
problems.
but I think we did find that somewhere too.
True.
Maybe I don't remember, but
Streaming
I
somewhere.
think they're both streaming. That if you have it, you don't have to pay for
As
it.
of this recording.
As of this recording. All right. So unlike some of these videos that we do, where I do all these research and this is what happened. Look, it was Thanksgiving week. We were away. So we're just going to kind of do it on the fly.
Okay.
But
McFly.
McFly. But I did want to mention, because these were both big award winners.
Who won?
Let's
stuff.
talk about the Oscars of that year, because No Country won Best Picture.
Oh wow.
They were both nominated for, I think, all of the same things pretty much. So Best Picture, and Joel and Ethan Coen won for Best Directors.
Nice.
And Paul Thomas Anderson was up in that category as well. This year, by the way,
Sounds a good year, right?
well, for me, Juno, of course,
Oh, good movie.
huge.
Yeah.
Michael Clayton,
Good movie.
another great one. Diving Bell and the Butterfly,
Never saw
which
it.
was one of my really early kind of foreign movies that I loved, because when I was a kid I didn't really watch that, but it got nominated for not only Best Foreign but Best Director, which I thought, well, this must be something special, and it was great. All right, it was Sweeney Todd was out this year.
Oh, wow, yeah.
A lot of things. All right, anyway, but Daniel Day-Lewis won Best Actor.
Okay.
So you were right about that.
That makes
we knew
sense.
it was three. We knew it was Lincoln and My Left, but we didn't know if this was the other one or if it was a
I
different
think
one.
it was probably this one. Yeah.
But it was this one. But of course, actually, whoa.
What
There Will Be Blood wasn't nominated for Best Actor. What the heck? They did not
Wait.
nominate Bardem.
Oh.
Oh, he's Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah, he's not the main character.
Oh, who is Tommy Lee Jones?
Or Brolin, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Because he's not the
All right.
hero.
I was
main
very
character.
confused, because I thought he was at least
Well,
nominated.
it's because he's such a
Okay.
big part of the movie and
Yes.
the thing everyone remembers.
And I remembered
but
him
he's,
the most.
He is the villain, so therefore.
Okay, can't be
Supporting,
Maine.
yeah.
Can't be Maine.
Yeah.
All right, so Javier did win for Best Supporting Actor.
Okay,
Okay,
there you go.
That really
There you go.
surprised me there. All right, for Best Screenplay Adapted was No Country for Old Men.
Mm-hmm.
And then There Will Be Blood was nominated there.
Okay.
And then let's see, for cinematography,
I don't
I'm
know
curious,
who's-
because
yeah,
I bet it was
toss-up.
one of them that won.
Yeah.
Okay, score didn't go to either one. Sound mixing went to the Bourne movies. Cinematography's There Will Be Blood. That makes more sense.
That's pretty
I think
good.
of the two, that probably makes more sense.
Yeah, though they were both had excellent cinematography.
Oh, yeah. All right, so that was it. But they were both the most nominated films of the year. 8 nominations each.
Well, it makes sense to me.
So, yeah, makes sense there. All right, so as we look up a little bit about No Country for Old Men. Cormac McCarthy wrote the novel. Okay, you probably know him.
A little bit.
I've heard that name.
He did a couple other.
I feel like
ones.
I only know him from movie adaptations.
Sure.
But The Road, I think seems familiar.
Yeah,
Is that him?
I think that was Viggo Mortensen and.
Okay. Yeah.
Dystopian kind of.
Okay, yeah. So we had that. More critics. Here we go. More critics included No Country on their top 10 list that year than any other film, and many regarded it as the Coens' best. What do you think the Coen? Now, before we get too far into the weeds on this, what do you think the Coens' best is?
Well, I've seen a good chunk of them. I haven't seen all of them. I mean,
I've seen most. It's not Hail Caesar.
I hate that movie. That's 4 movies. I mean, this is up there for me now, I should say.
Yeah, this might be one of their best for sure.
I've always been a Fargo person.
Yeah, Fargo's good. I'll tell you what I like is Barton Fink.
Barton Fink is a really good movie.
Doesn't get talked about much,
That's
but
a really good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
But this could be the best. If we're going to talk about that. I mean, it really could be the best.
It could. I honestly could say it's possible. Yeah.
All right, so let's see. The writing, yes. The script was mostly faithful to the source. We love that. All right, what else? Blah, blah, blah. The writing is notable for its minimal use of dialogue. Well, the same can be said for both of these films.
Yep, same.
There Will Be Blood, the first 15 minutes is almost a silent movie,
Just
really.
digging in the hole, yeah.
Yeah, so we love that. Interesting that I'm not seeing any of the. Usually there's like, oh, this person was scheduled to play this, or they reached out to this person.
It's like they were casting, and then they knew.
I think
they knew.
I think Bardem was the right choice.
It was
and Lee Jones.
He wasn't. Isn't this kind of the one that made him like really big?
I don't think I really knew him before this.
I feel like he's done movies before then, but I don't remember seeing him much.
And what's funny is I think now of him that he is one of the most versatile actors out there.
Very good.
Because we've seen him do a lot of this heavy drama stuff, but we've also seen him do foreign movies. We've seen him do some action. But he was recently in Lyle Lyle Crocodile, where he's singing and dancing.
Oh, okay.
And he's like a vaudevillian song and dance man, and it's like, this is, and I watched that the same week I watched No Country for Old Men, so it was like really juxtaposed, and showed me his range.
Don't forget, he's also one of your favorite movies, The Counselor.
Oh no!
Your favorite part of that movie?
Actually, that's the only part, because right at the end of this horrible, stupid story that Cameron Diaz tells about having sex with a car, he literally goes, "I don't know why I even told you that."
To stop the movie.
And we're like, "Yeah, we don't either. Like, what are you doing?" So anyway, all right. Well, people are saying things about it. We'll look up, of course, the Rotten and stuff and the
reviews
Ebert and reviews.
Well, Ebert had some love.
Oh, I mean, if this isn't a 4-star, if this isn't Ebert's great movies, yeah. All right, so why don't you tell us the story here of No Country for Old Men?
Oh, man. Okay, well, I want to say the story is actually fairly simple, because you've got Josh Brolin. He's kind of like this blue-collar.
I guess Brolin is the star, huh?
He's kind of, which it's interesting, you forget about it because there's all these things going around, but he's sort of the everyman out west, and this is in the 80s. I think is it 1980 or something like that?
I think it's very early 80s, I would say.
And he basically comes across, there is like this gunfight. There's this drug deal that went south out there, and all these cartel guys are dead. He finds basically this case of money, right?
Lots of money.
Well, afterward, and he's like, okay. Most people at this point would say, okay, maybe you call the police or you keep it for yourself. One of those. He's like, no.
This idiot goes back.
It's interesting though. It's a very.
You don't have a movie, I guess, if he doesn't.
But it's a very weird human little thing. It's like the guy kind of wants to sort of, get an idea of what's going on. So he goes back, and then guys find out that he has the money. They're on the run from him, and then he's on the run trying to get his wife to coordinate and get with him later. But he's on the run, and the cartel has hired this bad guy, Anton Chigurh, which is Bardem, to go after him. Meanwhile, he's kind of on a killing spree, and you've got Woody Harrelson's like a contractor that works for the guys that originally, I guess, hired Bardem, and, they're trying to kind of chase after him. And then you've got Tommy Lee Jones, who's like the old sheriff, who's trying to, on the whole case for the whole thing, trying to track down Chigurh and Brolin at the same time. So the whole thing is like a constant race of getting the money, the location to it, and kind of getting Brolin who's going to get there first. And yeah,
Yeah, I
Basic-
mean that's what happens for sure.
that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and look, this is one of these movies. I think both of these are that so much has been written about.
I would
Papers
say
for sure,
books even.
and probably books. So yeah, I mean, look, like I said, it was a busy week, Thanksgiving and everything. So there are tons of things to check out about this movie. You know, trivia bits on IMDb, and the wiki is longer than my entire body. So we're not going to do that. We're going to just talk about our interpretations of the movie.
Yeah, and there's so much I think we could talk about with these movies anyway.
So let's talk first about. Well, you know what? One thing I do like to talk about, though.
You bring up.
Well,
these
I'll say things. I'll say.
Yeah, yeah.
But first, I do want to say how it did, because usually we at least talk about the money.
Yeah, spoilers. I feel like it did well.
Well, that's the thing. Back in the day, they used to nominate movies that people saw.
Ooh.
So in that case, this did very well. It was budgeted at $25 million and made $171 million worldwide.
Profitable. Where's that sequel?
I would say, okay, now.
Where's that franchise?
You know what's sick?
They
If this
would find-
movie,
if
if this
today,
movie came out today, they would do it.
Sicario too.
They would do it.
Oh,
Brolin again.
Talk about a
Brolin again.
Sadly, that could have been a decent.
All right,
sequel.
so
Anyway.
let's. All right,
Ooh.
so you want me to ask questions or answer questions? You said Q&A. Am I asking
well,
them?
you already had thoughts of things you want to talk about.
Yes.
So you.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, I was just going to go sort of down the list of like
things that
different things in the movie.
Characters,
So first, let's
shots,
talk about
editing.
the actors. Actually,
That's good. Characters, actors.
we'll talk about actors and the characters. So
That sounds good.
For me, if you're going to talk about the top,
heroes of cinema.
no, other. I was going to say villains.
Uh-huh.
If you're gonna do the top 10 villains,
Cinema?
Shigur might be in my top 5.
That's another reference.
Okay, that's
Nice
an old
Sugar Man.
joke. But no, really, Shigur.
He could be top 5 for real.
Shigur is either top 5 or top 10, probably. I think for most people. I just did my buddy Justin, not our friend, but Justin Job.
Oh yeah.
We just put up his top 100 movies of all time, which were recorded about a month ago. But this was in there, and I hadn't rewatched it yet, so I couldn't talk too much about it. But I think for any, hardcore cinema fan, I think this deserves to be in the conversation
Sure.
for best villains of all time.
That's what I think when you talk
You
about
know?
the movie just in the lexicon.
That's what I thought
the
about for
zeitgeist,
sure.
Like that's the one thing everyone will go to that has a vague knowledge
Yeah.
of the movie. It's like they know it because of Shigur.
Here's what I remembered specifically about it. Now keep in mind I watched this one time 15 years ago.
You remembered him
Didn't see it in the theater, but I remembered the doorknobs. I remembered him shooting the doorknobs off.
with like the cow thing.
with the yeah, I don't know what that was. The oxygen tank or
oxygen
something?
tank, and like he like uses it to like knock
Yeah.
knock people out. That's the one. But and then he's got
I
the
remember the-
shotgun with the silencer.
Oh
on
yes,
it.
I remember that for sure.
Jeez.
Remember the silencer. I remembered oddly the duct, putting the suitcase in the ducts.
You know,
Because not only is that
it's a good move.
a good move, but it was shot so interestingly. It's hard to actually forget that.
It's a weird, interesting angle
You
too.
know?
Like,
Yeah.
how is he gonna get that? And you're actually picturing in mind what the
Right.
the space
He
of the room
develops like a
is.
hook thing on a hanger and whatever. But
It seems like something you would do. Like
it
something
really
you-
does.
I'll throw it down. How am I gonna get at this?
well, here's the thing. I think since we're on the characters, I guess I think everybody in this movie makes
An impression.
decisions, an impression, but they make decisions that a normal person would make.
like everyday people.
If you are Shigur, if you are Brolin, if you are Harrelson, like except for going back to the scene.
Although
I still don't understand that, but it's good for the movie, obviously.
Well,
but Lee Jones,
I think that's an interesting element, though, to the character that I think speaks to one of the interesting aspects of both these movies is they're very human, and sometimes you make questionable decisions for your own reasons that might not make sense to another person, and we
Yeah.
never get a clear explanation of why he did that, but he probably has his own reasons, and we kind of noted this is sort of like a post-Western, and the guy's like a Burt Reynolds type.
a neo-western,
you know,
I think is what they refer to it as.
Neo-Western, yeah, like
Yeah.
don't leave things kind of open. You want to kind of
And he really wanted to be Burt Reynolds.
he had
Reynolds was the
outfit,
hottest ticket of the day.
like you want to be accountable, and
Right.
it's just like it's almost like he couldn't let it go, like just take something without kind of falling through. And then we realized anyway they were tracking the case anyway.
You're right, so it really
mattered
wouldn't have mattered.
anyway.
But I think it makes his character I don't know, more
Frustrating.
interesting or yeah, like frustrating.
I think it makes it more frustrating, but also more believable
And more real, yeah,
because he did
absolutely.
something kind of stupid, like out of curiosity, or I'm gonna find out what's going
Or
on,
maybe there's more money there.
or maybe I can
Or maybe
follow
whatever.
up, or I can get the drop on them, or
Mhm.
something. But it was interesting because he's clearly just out for himself and his wife just to make a buck.
Yeah.
But he's not really like a bad guy per se.
No.
So he just did it. He's a simple
Greedy.
guy, greedy.
But listen, look at how they live.
Yeah,
They live in a trailer.
in the middle of nowhere.
They have no money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honest, blue collar, hardworking folks. But hey, if you
see
find
a
a
break.
briefcase of if
Yeah.
you find a break. But right, the case was being tracked anyway.
Yeah, go on.
But so yeah, the characters here in both movies, like you said, this really is a great double.
It feels like they're people.
I think we're gonna repeat probably a lot of the
stuff.
same things, but we'll just kind of say, yeah, remember when we said that? Because yeah, I think they're all real. It's the Tommy Lee Jones thing that throws me a little bit because I feel like he's a little typecast.
A little.
He's great in the role. We're not gonna say that he's not.
It's a very Tommy Lee Jones.
But
role.
it's yeah. This is get me a Tommy Lee Jones
playbook
like character. Okay, well, here's the real thing.
Well, it's like he's either like that, where he's a little nicer, or he's a little younger, where he's a little bit more of an a-hole.
Right.
But like
right.
it's like Fugitive. Where
Now
it's
he's
like, hey,
grizzled. I just finished that show, by the way, The Fugitive. I think I'm going to watch the movie next.
Oh, good, yeah.
The Lee Jones, because I've never seen it.
That's one of my favorite Joneses.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Men in Black for me, really.
Well, yeah,
that's a classic.
That's also out there.
But yeah, I mean, this was kind of in that vein of like, I don't know, all of his movies were sort of like this at the time.
Yeah, but this is like the one.
But
though.
Brolin
was
this movie. I think brought him into the stratosphere in the conversation because, like, look, the guy's been acting forever. He was in Goonies as the older brother. His dad is famous, but
he didn't really like.
But he didn't really pop. I don't think until like the 1-2 punch of this, and then True Grit was like maybe 2 years later. And then after that, we've seen him in
so many things.
Everything. Dune and Sicario,
freaking Marvel,
and Men in Black 3, doing Tommy Lee Jones, which is funny because that would have been after this.
Maybe that's why they figured it out.
They
looked at each other and said, "Oh, somebody gets someone face." So people look at these things.
People look at it. But yeah, Chigurh, one of the best villains ever. And do you love him or you love to hate him? I am a little torn actually on that answer.
I think if it's a good character, you're probably supposed to be torn. I mean, I kind of do love him. I kind of wish he was like, he's so oddly charming that I kind of wish he was a little less evil. But he's kind of like
he's just pure evil. But
evil.
The code
is interesting because the code is
it's inconsistent as hell.
Which I may have watched a video or two about some of these movies in the past, and somebody pointed out that the whole coin bit that he occasionally uses with people is just a way for him to excuse his own actions.
Right. You've watched videos, half-hour videos, dissecting just that scene.
I did.
When we say papers have been written, they're out there.
Yeah, and I got a lot out of it, and like that scene showed a lot. Obviously, he's trying to take away blame because he thinks he's like acting as an agent of greater things, but sometimes he decides.
Does he think that though? We don't really know if he believes his own stuff or not.
Well, that's really and that's like these movies. We'll cover both. We get some of the internals.
J-Lewis is exactly the same.
We get some internals, and then we get some things we don't completely understand the motivations. Because do people just, like in say a Nolan movie, explain their entire motivation? Not always
beat for beat in the Nolan,
because people don't always understand themselves.
Right.
I think he does. He's very sure of himself, and I think he. Yeah, I don't know. I think he kind of is just kind of going with it.
Yeah.
Doesn't really care. The interesting thing about him, that what you think you have him pegged, but like I think he enjoys making people squirm, and sometimes he seems like he's going on about his speeches about his code and whatnot, and like lecturing Woody Harrelson. But it's hard to say. But then I'm thinking, okay, maybe it is all bull. But then at the end, when he got hit by the car and the kids are helping him out, and it's interesting, the villain does get kind of saved by the goodness of innocence, and he
very good,
and like he actually like wants to be square with them. Like he does not want to owe these kids who aren't trying to get anything from him.
Yeah,
kids like, no, take my shirt. You don't have to pay me. I thought it was interesting. We end with that scene where like Chigurh's like in that moment of vulnerability. It's almost like he has it's like a fairness thing, and then to go back to the coin scene, which this is also
Your
a struggle
favorite.
for me. I love it's the best scene. Okay, or one of the best scenes.
Yeah, I would say one of.
It's a darn. Actually, some of
Yeah.
those fight scenes are. Anyway, the
Yeah.
gunfight in the alley.
Gunfight in the
but
alley is
the coin
good.
scene is like top 3 or something.
Yeah.
But like with that scene, okay, he clearly, man, they didn't even talk about this in the video.
Okay.
One thing I want to bring up new that I've never heard anybody talk about. He doesn't really care about the clerk. He's like, whatever.
No.
Pay the thing. Blah blah blah. The guy like makes.
He
a
could have
statement-
killed him on
he-
sight and
he-
it wouldn't have mattered.
He kind of
to him.
With some people he kills, some people he doesn't. But
Yeah.
this guy, he makes a comment about like, okay, where you coming from, and he's like, oh, should this either I got to cover my tracks because he asked where I came from,
Mm-hmm.
or he's kind of annoying me because he's inquisiting and I'm just ticked because he kind of goes
Right.
He goes the wind. He doesn't really have a code. And then he makes that comment about like, oh yeah, I came here and I married into this thing.
Mm-hmm.
That really ticks him off. Like you're here in this job and you married
It
into
does. It
You
makes
get-
him very, very angry.
He's very mad. Like you
Yeah.
chose this, and it's not even you. You're not even a self-made man. Okay, you're gonna flip this coin, and I'm gonna give you a choice because I really want to kill you. now.
Right, right.
But then, the coin flips the way he calls it. He sticks to it. He could have killed the guy, and he actually seems happy. Good for you. You know, he really is. He's actually
Yeah.
nice. He kind of, and somebody pointed out he's actually. I think in one of the comments of the videos they pointed out that he actually seems like kind of okay with the guy, almost like he's in tune with something because he gets
Yeah.
it. So maybe we're like connected on some level.
Yeah, and not
it's just-
necessarily like you beat me,
But like you know, you are like, I don't know.
but good for you that
Good for you. You
that
played my game
overcame.
and
Right,
won.
right.
So at the moment, I'm gonna say, but then he shot a bird for the fun of it.
That I hated. That was one of my because it really.
You were like, and that also I think it's a 2-second scene.
Yeah.
But it says so much. He's like, ha ha ha, I'm trying to kill
Yeah.
this bird. He doesn't.
And I'm not
there's-
like a
Answer.
animals die, you know, because there's a lot of animals that die in this movie. In the beginning scene, there's a bunch of
But that
dogs
scene,
that are dead.
he's
But like
doing it-
that scene was just like
It's not for business. It's not for a code.
No.
It's just it's
it's
for
to
the,
show that. Why is that in the movie? It's to show the character.
no scenes wasted.
No seconds are wasted.
And he's fascinating.
I think this is what makes Hail Caesar so frustrating is that the Coen brothers, we know they're like some of the top people, but they had that garbage movie.
I'll review Hail Caesar in like a few seconds here again for you. I think there were 4 potentially good movies in
Yeah.
there, but they should
They
have been
couldn't
4
figure
separate
it out.
movies.
Yeah, they couldn't
Not
get
like
it together.
3/4 or whatever. But I
all
don't know
right.
if I answered
So,
your question.
yes.
He's
Because
think-
I don't know the answer myself. I
I
think
don't think you're supposed to.
I do love him,
But do you love him because you love to hate him?
kind of, but also Brolin was being a bit of a dummy,
You think he almost deserved
and
it
I
in a way.
no, I don't, I don't want to
Well,
say that
Well,
necessarily.
at the end he kind of was like,
But-
sort of.
Well, at the
messing
end, he
around.
was- he was
like
sort
sleeping
of
with some
tempting
woman or
him.
whatever,
Yeah, yeah.
The cat.
But
over
like
River.
Woody Harrelson,
Woody Harrelson was great.
always great.
Yeah.
I mean, we you know Harrelson. Wait, what would? I'm trying to think of a day or a month we can do Woody Wednesday or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's always good. Not in the movie very long,
But he has 3 great scenes.
but he has 3 fantastic scenes.
You love the part where he's in the flowers and he's like pretending
Yes,
like he's marrying the guy.
I love
You
that.
think you'd end here with this?
I hate the hotel room.
That was a good scene though.
It was a great
You're mad because he
scene.
killed Woody.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Spoilers.
Well, I
They
listen.
know.
I said we're going over.
Yeah.
Um,
Why do you hate that
Yes.
scene? You hate it because you not hate it, but you hate what happens there.
I hate it because Woody,
Adds so much.
and the character
was good.
was good, and we got to see so little of him.
Well,
And I wanted, okay,
he was less evil. I like the fact that he found Brolin. and
Here's
he
the
was
real
gonna give him a
truth.
shot. He was like, "Hey,
I know,
I can help you,
I know,
man."
and here's the real truth: if Woody lived, the movie isn't as good
Because it shows how.
because it shows how
Bad
ruthless,
sugars.
how yes,
How do you feel about that
Um,
line that he gave him? It's like, if the rule that you followed led you here, how good was the rule? Like he's just making messy
Yeah.
with this whole way of living his life right before he kills him. Oh man.
yeah.
Oh, did,
One that maybe is my favorite scene. There's so many good scenes in this movie.
so many good lines.
Um,
Did he kill the wife or not?
Oh yes, let's talk about that briefly while we're on the
And
characters.
then I got a part 2. We're all still on.
Okay,
characters.
we're still on characters.
Hour 20. Okay.
I told you this would be one of our longer ones.
I'm not going to say it's short this time.
Characters
still.
Usually, well, and by the way, as a joke aside, we've been saying both of these movies are funnier than The Banger Sisters.
They are.
We reviewed The Banger Sisters
They
a
are.
couple months ago and had fond memories of it.
Dude.
Then we watched it again and it was horrible. I think we both gave it like D plus
These
range.
are some dark
but
dramas.
but there's some
bits.
humor. It's funny. Okay, so Wizard of Oz was on over the weekend because it was Thanksgiving.
Gotta get an Oz reference.
And I gotta get an Oz.
Where are the Oz references in these movies? They make them real movies.
The Sugar
Sugar.
is Wicked Witch. So anyway, my nephew's friend had only seen sort of parts of the Wizard of Oz, so we were talking about who's your favorite character or whatever. So we were sort of going around and saying, and my brother goes, "Oh, the Wicked Witch. She's got the best bits," and she actually does.
She's got some zingers.
It's like a Sugar. Like he is deadly serious, but he
Sense of
has
humor.
a sick sense of humor that does come through. And, you know, a Coen specialty, really.
They always got
when
the
you think
humor.
about Fargo and some of the ones we talked about.
Mhm.
So I think there is some humor in both of these movies. Daniel Day-Lewis's character is the same way with the jokes.
He kind of has some funny bits.
Like, they're not doing punchlines necessarily.
but
it's
it's humorous.
dark humor for
Black-
sure, black
oil black
comedy,
humor.
oil black for some, and desert black for others.
Yeah,
But yes, I think both of these movies are funny in The Banger Sisters. But anyway,
you're right.
character-wise, did he kill the woman? You had actually a really good point.
And then I'll give you a part B to that question because I really want to ask you this too.
Because
But-
I sort of think yes.
Yeah,
But shut up!
That's true.
You
though.
know, though. You
I know where it's going because I have a second question. to
Okay,
ask
so
you.
what's your second question?
My second question, I think is brilliant, and I think it just speaks to the brilliance of the movie. Why even leave it ambiguous?
Yeah.
They did that on
They
purpose.
did it on purpose.
Because like
I
him,
know
we
they
don't
did.
know what he's gonna do. 'Cause-
I know
and I'm
they
like,
did.
And I'm like saying, I'm so sure that he killed her, but I don't know.
I'm like, for me,
He just had to look at
it's
his
like
shoes.
85,
It's like 90. I'm like
90%. Yeah, like I'm in that high range, but
'Cause he doesn't have to
okay,
kill her, but he might just do it
because
shoes,
of the shoes, because of the store clerk doesn't kill,
But coin
because
but then
of
all the other,
some of the others
he killed all
doesn't
the,
kill.
He killed a bunch of
Kids.
people.
Kids, very nice
But
too. Actually,
but remember, there are some people that help him in the movie that he kills
he
for no
doesn't
reason.
care.
I know, but it's like we got
So why her?
We got. I don't. Why not her?
Why not her?
Because he actually, it's weird. Like he killed clerk guy, but yeah, the guy that finds him gives him the directions. Gonna
Tell me about the shoes.
But, oh yeah, and once
'Cause we
again,
mentioned shoes,
great
but-
screenwriting.
Yes,
it's
great
like,
screenwriting.
Never waste anything. Foreshadowing when he's fighting the other like mercenaries or henchmen or whatever in the hotel room, which I loved the way those were filmed. By the way,
Yeah. Great
you know,
scenes.
He kills the guy and in the shower curtain pulls it away so he won't get blood on himself. Takes his shoes
Right,
off,
right.
so he won't be hurt.
Oh, that was heartbreaking. That poor guy did nothing.
And when he kills Harrelson, the blood's leaking out, and he lifts his shoes so
Right.
that they won't track. Obvious,
Right.
subtle, but shows that he's
But-
a pro. Checks his shoes when he comes out of her house, but he might just do that to check his
But
shoes.
maybe he always does it.
Maybe that's a habit,
Right.
Because he really cares about how he looks.
So that's what does it for you. You're more yes, he killed her because of the shoes.
because
I think it's just because it makes more sense.
it does make more. But he doesn't.
He
do
doesn't
things.
play by all of his own rules even.
He goes with the flow.
So yeah, goes with the flow. He
Oh,
goes with how he's feeling.
Another thing I really like,
Loosey-goosey.
I love when movies do this, a lot of thrillers and mysteries. You know how you'll have a location where something happens and then the person comes in and looks into it the exact same way and
Mm-hmm.
walks through it? I love how it's layered. You've got Brolin somewhere and then you've got Shiger the same
Yes.
place, going the same way, examining, and then you got Tommy Lee Jones.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah.
The interplay, like, he did this and he did that. I love that. And oh, man. The whole concept of almost like good and evil. You got the old Western cowboy Tommy Lee Jones
Mm-hmm.
against this new evil he doesn't understand, Shiger. They never quite meet. It's like a Fifth Element. The villains never
Right, they never do meet.
Hero villain never meet.
You're
And
right.
that one scene where they're almost on top of each other, and we're worried because he could almost kill Jones, but he decides, I guess, not to do it to give himself away.
Right.
He's right there, and Jones knows he's there. He goes,
Mhm.
he might be in here, and I don't want to go in, but I got to. How about the monologue at the? You know what?
Well, okay. The
It's-
monologue.
We haven't even gotten to Jones yet. Really.
Jones. All right. Well, how about the scene where Jones goes and visits? What is this? His brother?
Oh yeah.
or his
Yeah,
old brother-in-law or something. I
brother-in-law,
forget who it
relative who was
is.
also like a deputy or something.
He was
got
an
out of
old
it.
deputy that got out, but living
That's
in
right.
just
His
abject
father,
filth.
grandfather was into it, talking about how he was just kind
Right.
of into this life, born into it, married into it.
And this
you know.
married into it again. This is not a movie with
Hero.
a lot of conversation pieces.
But there are
There's
some strong ones.
there's more monologuing though, like you were about to say about the monologue, or Tommy Lee Jones' narration. But this particular scene was all about the interplay between the two, the conversation. It was very minimal directing.
I'm getting really excited about the scene.
Well.
Keep going. Keep going. No, keep going.
It was very minimal directing. It was really the two of them kind of sitting at the
What's a
table.
classic, back and forth.
Classic back and forth, which
dialogue driven.
But because it's Coen Brothers, even that they make interesting because of all the sort of hoarding stuff that's on his counters.
So much we learn about
talking
his
about the coffee that's I usually make a fresh pot once a week.
Might be a week old.
Like
it says a lot about his character.
Because I think
much.
a lot of the movie we're sort of wondering what Jones is all about. Like he's saying, okay, like the
3 weeks from
the
retirement.
classic, right? I'm too old for this ass, except not funny, But like that's basically
this is getting bad.
The theme.
I mean, back in the day, criminals, I understood him,
But we get, I think, in that scene particularly, a huge sense of his character, the motivations, and that sort of thing. Because other than that, we only ever see him in cop mode, really, And so that particular scene stuck out to me as well.
And I guess the scene with his wife at the end was
scene with his wife, and the narration that he does is great too.
Oh yeah, I think closing and beginning. Of the
yeah,
movie,
it's sort of just bookended. It's not all through, but
it's good narration.
Yeah, good narration, good monologuing. So anyway, yes, character stuff. Tommy Lee Jones. I think we went over everybody, right?
All the big ones.
That's all the biggies.
Yeah, all the biggies.
All right. So now we can move on to a couple other things. I think the writing we sort of talked about as well. Great writing, great directing.
Is good,
But the cinematography, both of these movies, I can see why There Will Be Blood won. But in any other year, I think they both would have won.
Yes,
I feel like if There Will Be Blood came out a different year, it's like this wins for this year.
Tight race, but they both have these. It's because they make use of the vistas of the deserts. They just and I want to say. Man, it was. We were saying this throughout No Country for Old Men, but I think a little more so for There Will Be Blood. That saying, every frame of painting, just like pause it.
Yes,
it's just it could be like a beautiful shot.
Well, and what's so funny is I've been doing a lot of the old Disney movies on Dan Does Disney, and it's like I've been learning so much about matte paintings and how they work and everything, which is very cool.
I love matte painting.
I love good matte painting, but you can tell that
Location.
they didn't shoot this on a studio backlot.
Yep.
Like they shot this and There Will Be Blood both
in the desert,
in the real places. The background scenery is just incredible to look at. I can only imagine seeing it on a big screen. But although now I have a bigger TV, so we saw it pretty up close. But yeah, so that is gorgeous. The score is very minimal in this movie.
Yeah, but well used.
But usually, with a movie that's a little maybe more action oriented or something. We hear a lot of like
beats and
guitar.
And
right. Here it is
ambient.
What would you call it? Subdued or something.
Yes, like ambient avant-garde kind of music.
Used when needed. And never overpowering.
But sometimes just nature, cars, it's just the environment.
Yeah, a lot of just sort of like sounds of your life.
We're there. It's trying to be very grounded, not too operatic. There Will Be Blood's a little more operatic at times.
I would agree. I think There Will Be Blood is too much sometimes. We'll get into it. So yeah, I wanted to talk about the score for a second. What else? Themes.
The violence. The effects, blood and gore and all that stuff. There's some good squibs and things that made you look away.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Did I look away more in this or the other one? Probably the other one.
I loved actually another great piece of just visual storytelling when we come across. We once again revisit the shootout a couple times with each person checking it out.
Yeah, different
we
perspectives.
See the bodies kind of slowly decomposing with more time, more dirt around them. It's like, this boat looks like it was more recent. So these people died here a little bit later, and he finds the guy with the money. Just really, we learn a lot about kind of where things were position-wise, and the visuals are a lot of great detail for the makeup. So it shows us a lot of carnage just immaculately. They hold on it. They don't really skip anything. So it's very visceral.
And the flies
buzzing, the coyotes. Oh, they send the dog after.
That's
Remember,
right.
chasing, and he runs down and it's
Yeah.
swimming, and it jumps
Yeah.
and you're like, and he shoots it right as he's jumping
Oh,
in. You were like
yeah.
on the edge of your seat.
Jason Brolin.
Chasing Brolin down.
Yeah. I was because
And he
listen,
like gets shot, and he's like.
because here's the thing: we already saw at the beginning of this movie that they're not holding back on
Anything.
So what was that dog going to make it? We didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, it got so close to biting him. We didn't know.
Yeah.
Uh,
that was great. Yeah, good chases. Really, I think this is probably the precursor to Brolin doing the True Grit, because I know this is not quite in the old days, but like we said, kind of neo-Western. When he first came on, I was like, I didn't even remember he was in this, because I remembered he was in True Grit, and this is very similar, actually,
it's weird,
in certain ways, even though they're very different as well.
The potential, I thought, like, kind of negative looking back on it, was like, you remember Chigurh?
Mm-hmm.
He's such an impression, but yeah, I vaguely remember. I knew people were in it, but I didn't have much of an impression.
Yeah, I remember Tommy Lee Jones.
Like, I remembered him there,
but I didn't remember Woody Harrelson was in it.
Watching it again,
and
I
Brolin,
feel like,
I just was, I didn't really know him as Brolin yet.
But I mean, really looking and paying attention more to the performances, I thought they were all really good.
Yes, all very good.
And actually, I remember the first time watching it, I didn't like it that much. I didn't quite get
Really?
it. Yes, first time watching it, I was like, I thought it was good, but I don't know. I didn't quite appreciate it as much the first time around, so I was glad to watch it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we have talked long enough about it. We're going to bring up some of the same points with the other movie, but
Yeah, same movie.
before we look at the Rotten, let's grade it ourselves.
Sure.
This for me, I think, look, if you said this was an A+, I would not be upset about that. I think for me it's an A.
Okay.
I think it's one could say it's a high A.
A very high.
Okay. I think it really teeters on that A+ for me.
Man, that's tough.
I
don't know. I'm kind of between an A and A+ too. I think
okay.
I'll
You're
give
gonna
it.
go benefit of the doubt. You're always higher than me.
I am
think.
always high. I am always.
I think
higher.
you're nicer than me.
I mean a little bit. I
So
think
an A+ maybe.
No, I think it's an A.
Yeah, I think it's a solid.
I think it's
very solid A.
It's a solid A for me. I kind of, I don't know. I know it's intentionally left ambiguous, and it feels like there's a lot of loose ends. That's the point. But I kind of wanted like a little bit more of certain things. It's tough, like just a teeny bit more, and I feel like certain things fleshed out might have been nicer. But I don't know. It's not really bad by any means. It could be an A+.
No, it's definitely not bad by any means. Yeah, I'm curious on the Rotten, because I'm sure it's not 100%. I'm curious to see what the negative, because remember, Rotten is only positive or negative, which means if it's like a 90%, that means 10% of people not just thought it was like, oh, an A- or a B+, thought it was like a C, which I find hard to believe. But people do.
Well, I can definitely see it being a
All right,
movie
so
that
let's
everyone
say
loved.
93 for the critics,
Right.
86 for the audience. That
It's pretty fresh, man.
that actually sounds about right. All right,
Most
so
people like
I can't. Here's a couple of the negatives. We know what the positives are. We talked about it. An exacerbating and self-defeating experience, rather like listening to a nymphomaniac extol the virtues of celibacy. All right, first of all, use more big words, please. Like he's just trying to prove his intellectual muscle
Indeed.
and his academia. All right, here you go. I can't help feeling the film is ultimately hollow. Don't agree with that. The lack of respect for the body, the sheer bloody aftermath depresses me. Well, it is depressing.
I think it's supposed to.
They may handle the killing with verve and ironic tension, but this is a Coen Brothers film too far.
They took it too far. It's too Coen for them. They went full
Yikes.
Coen.
Well, this is out of almost 300 critics, so there's 19 rotten reviews.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised by that. Here you go. Here's some positives. Chigurh is the most original boogeyman to bloody up the screen in a while.
Ooh.
All right, here, more negatives. Morose vagueness will get No Country called a classic instead of what it is, an effective but pompous grindhouser. I don't think that that's true. Why would I guess. I liked it.
It's a little grindhousey, but it's not really cheesy or exploitation.
Rare example of a too faithful adaptation. That's interesting. One that stubbornly refuses to explore and expound upon what the text readily provides.
Yeah, there is more in the book about motivation.
So have you read the book for this?
I have not, but I know more about it. It's a little more. There's less stuff that's ambiguous.
Okay. The trivial substance of their narrative. The violence needs more emotional depth below surface technique. I think for me, that's probably what causes it not to be an A+.
You don't think there's much of an emotional connection to
to the characters? Like Brolin is an everyman and stuff, but let's keep in mind, I forgot he was in it.
We don't really know
Like,
him that well.
yeah. I think characterization, Tommy Lee Jones and Chigurh, through the roof.
Well,
Brolin, maybe not so much.
I'd argue that it's intentional, though. It's like,
I'm sure it's intentional.
It's once again, it's like
more of an
brother
everyman
actions versus not knowing everything about it.
Right.
It's like we're looking at it from the outside. So
yeah,
I'm kind of okay with that.
all right, so let's see what Ebert has to say. Of course, my Grudge review is still up, his 1 star.
Easy to hold a grudge against this film.
Yikes. I think this is a 4.
Yeah, but
don't you think?
Great
Or
movies?
is it in great movies, do you think?
Well, there'd be 2 separate reviews then.
Okay.
Usually it would be like 4-star and then great movie, depending on when he put it
Oh, okay.
Because he did great movies after.
Right. Actually, right around this time, though, right?
I think 2000 or something, he started doing great movies.
Okay.
Late 90s, maybe?
Okay, my fat fingers won't even
the Homer
do
Simpson
it right.
Fingers.
Yeah. I don't even know how I spelled country, but it wasn't right. All right. Anyway, my guess is a 4.
Yeah, it's probably a 4. Why do you think it might not be a great movie?
Well, I don't know what the difference is. The difference is his like top 100 movies of all time kind of thing.
These are like his movies that you
4 stars. Good Country for Dead Men, he called it. Ebert's always with the darn quips.
That's pretty good, though.
All right, so he talks about the Tommy Lee Jones voiceover at
I agree.
first.
It's a 4-star. I agree.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think 3.5 to 4.
Yeah.
All right, let's consider another scene. The dialogue is good as you will hear this year. Chigurh enters the gas station.
Yeah.
We got that.
Dialogue of the year.
Masterful evocation of time, place, character, moral choices, immoral certainties, human nature, and fate.
He loves it so much.
Jeez. All right.
He did something with this.
Flawlessly, so many scenes are so flawlessly constructed. You want them to simply continue. That's what you wanted.
Yeah.
You wanted a little more out of some of them.
Yeah.
Yet they create an emotional suction, drawing you to the next scene. I feel that way about Fargo as well. Okay. Well,
yeah.
There you go.
So yes, this is
Ebert knows yet again.
Well, this time.
Actually, usually he's dead wrong. All right, so we've got No Country for Old Men. This is based on an Upton Sinclair novel. I know that name as well.
I think you did there. You think you said No Country for Old Men.
I'm sorry, There Will Be Blood.
Basically, again, in many ways, it is the same
It's actually
movie.
the same thing again.
It kind of is.
Good Country for Dead Men, I guess. Upton Sinclair did what?
A lot of books. Was he The Jungle?
Yes, The Jungle. That's correct. Okay,
knowledge.
I know.
Yes, this is like
so. This is based on Oil,
inspired by it. Yeah,
by him. And another famous director. We can go off before we talk about this particular movie on Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
Hit or miss for me. Paul Thomas Anderson, The Master, didn't like. Phantom Thread, didn't like. But Licorice Pizza, which came out last year, I liked. B+. Magnolia, I think, is
I love that
probably his best movie.
It's a really good movie.
He's definitely hit or miss for me. I haven't seen Boogie Nights yet.
I haven't either. I will say I like The Master more than you do.
Yeah, I thought The Master, I'd probably give it a C+. I thought it was really boring.
I like The Master quite a bit.
So where Joaquin Phoenix is the photographer.
Yeah, he meets the
Hoffman's in it,
Scientologist type guy.
And then Amy Adams.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm the master.
Yeah, that is what happened in the movie. It was like, oh, okay, I
kind of liked it. It's
all right,
dark,
so you like him maybe more than I do, but you never saw that awful Phantom Thread.
No, but I'm sure the performance was great.
So $25 million for this budget again.
So roughly
roughly same budget, and this one though did not gross as high, $76 million.
Okay.
So all right, tripled its money, I guess.
Sure.
But all right. Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead did the score.
Oh,
that might be his first one because he does a lot of scores now.
Wow!
But I think back in the day that might have been one of his first.
Cool.
But he won. Daniel Day-Lewis won the Oscar. We talked about that. The BAFTA, the Golden Globe.
He won them all.
The Screen Actors Guild.
He won them all.
The New York Film Critics Circle, and it's widely regarded as one of the great films of the 21st century.
Oh yeah.
And there you go. All right.
Do you think people might? Is it possible this movie might be all right? Is it possible?
It's possible, and we're gonna find out if it's all right.
Okay.
Yeah, people love this movie.
Yeah.
I know it as I Drink Your Milkshake. That's
drink
what
your milkshake.
And it's not till the last. Talk about the money shot. It's literally the last like 30 seconds of the movie here.
Well, you build up to it.
All right. So this takes place long before No Country. This takes place, I guess, in the 10s, right? 1910s mostly.
1898 to like 1920s.
Okay. Yeah, they say the years on it, I guess. Yeah, it goes
mostly.
over a few different decades.
Early 20th.
But all right. So he's an oil man.
Mm-hmm.
We know this.
He starts out actually as a
miner.
prospector. Miner mining for silver or gold out west. and he's kind of, I guess I'm doing the synopsis now.
Yeah. Go ahead and do the
Yeah,
synopsis.
and basically he just starts out there digging by himself, trying to find some land that he can take and build his business. But doing that, he strikes oil and says, "Oh, I'm going to take advantage of this," and starts mining for oil and looking for ways to transport and kind of build up his business. And he actually, as he's building up, one of his co-workers, his employees, has a son out there. Employee dies. He actually decides to kind of raise the son as his own, maybe for
And not tell him.
not tell him that he's not technically his father.
Because
He was a baby. Yeah,
He was a baby, but yeah, he gets
so
to use him as
to kind of
cute
like
factor.
play for the sales pitch. Like, oh, I'm a family man like you. Please, sell me the rights to your land so I can,
Yeah.
more oil for you. I'll give you a percentage. Maybe not that good because you don't know anything. And so yeah, he basically plays that game, trying to kind of make his way, building the American dream. And he comes across word of this guy that approaches him, a guy by the name of Paul Dano.
Yep.
He
Who
comes
we
out
know from
many things. This is when he
Latest, it was the Batman movie.
he was Riddler. Yeah.
He was the Riddler.
Yeah, Paul Dano was
He was Brian Wilson in Love and Mercy. He was in Little Miss Sunshine.
Farting
he
Man.
was in what? Oh, right. What was that? Swiss Army Man.
Swiss
Is that
Army
what that was?
Man.
Many things.
Many things. So yeah, Paul Dano's good. He comes and he says, "Oh, I'll give you, if you can give me some money, I can tell you where some
As
oil
Eli.
is." As Eli. Okay, and there's this place out here you can go and check it out. And so he goes undercover to this place under the guise of we're just camping out here, and meets these people. Turns out it's this guy's family because he's got a twin brother.
Correct.
And apparently this guy was basically selling his family down the river.
Yes.
By letting them kind of at the mercy of this guy. And he kind of builds a rivalry with the other son, who is kind of like a preacher for the town and sort of wants to kind of build a business and a community around everything. And they start to have a rivalry about basically who gets kudos,
Right.
who gets more money. He never gives him the money he's initially owned, and they have a lot of jabs. At some point, as Plainview, Daniel Plainview is kind of Dan again. Is actually continuing to get more business and be more profitable. His long lost brother comes in to actually kind of join with him. He says, "Oh, I can finally bond with somebody and bare my soul because I don't really like people that much. I'm very closed off." Turns out the guy
turned out to be a lie.
Turns out the guy's lying.
Not
and
on the level.
He takes it very well, forgives him. No, he shoots him twice in the head, pretty much.
That was
rough. And then his son, who he has been kind of taken care of at this point. There's a big explosion. His son becomes deaf. Has some trouble dealing with it. Almost sets the place on fire. So he says, "I'll take care of you." But then he tricks him to going to boarding school on a train.
Right.
And then eventually has him come back. And
then we fast forward in the future.
Fast forward, he's big oil man right before the crash, pretty much. And his son is
I think
still
it was 27, maybe they said, or 28. Yeah.
And he's like, his son's still working with him. He's, obviously, sign language, and he's got somebody with him. Even though Plainview is really rich, he is.
But he refused to learn sign language.
He refused to learn sign. We'll get there.
Daniel.
We'll get there, Daniel.
Okay,
we'll
all
get
right.
there.
That part made me mad.
I'm almost done.
Okay.
We'll get there. But basically, even though he's more rich than he's ever been, he's got the huge mansion. His son's been working for him still. He's miserable. He's more miserable than ever. And he basically disowns his son, but because he wants to start his own business, so he doesn't take that well.
No.
Basically says, "I don't love you. You're worthless to me.
And you're not mine.
You're not mine, and you're
finally
garbage."
tells him.
And son's like, "Well, I'm glad you're not my dad, really." Which I have a feeling he actually had more mixed feelings about.
Well,
it
in the moment, maybe he acted differently.
Yeah, I know. But basically, then Paul Dano comes back again, saying, "Oh, maybe we need help," and it basically ends with, a nice business conversation. They have milkshakes together. They go bowling.
Yeah.
No, he brutally murders him.
Murders him in the bowling alley in his house.
And then he says it's done.
Yeah,
it's done.
and that's it.
Then the movie ends.
That's the movie.
We're done. So yeah.
All right, so
It was a movie.
the things that are basically the same that we don't need to really discuss too much.
Same man. Go ahead.
Cinematography
It's coming.
is the same.
Yeah.
Like
awesome.
we
Awesome.
know it. Like
Coming
we
is
loved
great.
it. So same movie that.
Same
there.
movie. Same movie.
So we don't need to talk about that.
Agree. Same movie. Cut some time.
In terms of the characters,
Similar.
do you think who's
more-
worse
No,
to you?
We talked about
Who's
this.
worse? I know, but now we're going to talk about it on air.
Yeah.
Because now we've had time to think about it. I have a clear answer.
Who's worse? You have a clear answer?
Is it Shigur or Plainview?
Well, I'm gonna
Plainfield, whatever his name is.
I'm
Plainview.
gonna kind of channel one of our friends, and I'm gonna build up a little bit.
Okay,
just a little.
build
bit.
it up.
Well, it depends on how you look at it, right? Because
Okay.
there's our perspective, how things are, set in the film,
Yeah.
context, and your preferences as well. I think, objectively speaking, Shigur is worse because he's a murderer that kills people. He has less of a code than Daniel Plainview. Although Plainview is perhaps more common and realistic because.
Now he steals babies.
Well, wait.
Okay.
I'm not done.
Kills.
Wait, whoa,
kill people.
Whoa. He. That's true. But Anton's a hitman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he kills people for money and for his own kicks.
Mm-hmm.
Plainview, he does murder one guy brutally. Oh, two actually. Sorry, two. He brutally murders two
But
people.
also the people that get killed on his watch. Okay.
I'm getting
All right,
it.
okay.
But like, hold on. All right.
You did say it was a build-up.
Like big business, like a lot of big businesses were, especially maybe still are. A lot of people get killed indirectly because of the oversight of people that don't care because they're greedy,
Musk.
like America.
We've got we've got a few. Bezos.
So a lot of people do die. So I think indirectly he's pretty bad. I would say maybe he's less likable, but I think he's a little more sympathetic in some ways because we actually get a little more insight. You asked me who was worse.
You think Plainview is less likable, is what you're saying?
No,
or Chigurh?
No, I think he's more. Well, it depends. I think that
because you said he's less likable, but I wasn't sure who you were referring to.
No, I think Chigurh is maybe more likable,
okay.
like fun. Like you probably like him more.
Yeah, I mean he's got more jokes. I think,
but I think that I definitely empathize a little more with Plainview than Chigurh.
Okay.
Because I kind of see a little more where he's coming from. So I think Chigurh is worse. Generally speaking, yes, as a person, as a character, as a villain, but in some ways you could argue because we know him better, Plainview's worse. So I don't know if I really answered.
We do know him better. You didn't answer my question, but you did.
Chigurh is worse.
You did. You did. I think Chigurh is the answer.
I would rather be in a room with Plainview than Chigurh because Chigurh might kill me because I tell him that I'm married into my store. Plainview might just try to buy it out from under me and only kill me if he doesn't like me after a while.
Right.
Just don't lie that I'm his brother. Or try to
I think the correct answer is Chigurh.
Okay. But you like Chigurh more.
Well, I mean, I think there's a case to be made for both. I will say, Plainview did care about his son for a little bit, even after he was like cute and being able to be used and stuff. He still cared about his well-being.
He did
enough that when he went deaf, he didn't just kill him or something. He shipped him off.
Well,
he was like, "All right, I can't deal with you, but I still want you to be okay and whatever."
Well, another reason
that spoke to me.
I think that I'm glad it did. I think that as far as discussions about this movie and what it's about and this character, I've heard a lot of things about how he's kind of also one of the great villains in a respect.
Well, and so that brings me to my next question.
But wait, before you go to that question, I'm going to go on to your point. I think one of the strongest cases for his humanity is the fact that he does love his son, and a lot of times it's for his own benefit, but there are times when I think he genuinely does care about it. There is some love, which is, I think at the end, his own weird way, he is hurt that his son's leaving.
Yes.
Which is weird, but go ahead.
Well, no, but I think it makes sense with this character for sure.
And I like that. I think he's a great. I think he's a well-written
because
character.
when you think about it, his son is all he's ever had, other than the money.
Business. Yes,
right. Other than the money and the oil, his son is all he's ever had.
Actually, if he leaves it, what does he really have?
He could lose it, right?
Yeah.
So yes, I agree with that. My question. Oh, I remember. My question is.
Yeah.
Are there a lot of movies in which, and you'll know,
will
that the main character, the lead character, is an out and out villain that aren't like horror movies or something like that? Because I think that's an interesting twist on.
What do you mean by out and out villain? Like it's a Tony Soprano situation where they're the bad guy in most stories?
I don't think of Daniel Plainview as like an anti-hero.
No.
So, I mean, is he? He's not a good man.
He is not a good man.
And we've discussed this.
But you can have plenty of protagonists that aren't good men. Look at, as a classic example, look
Godfather,
at Macbeth.
Okay.
You can have
going back in the Shakespeare tradition.
Yeah, anti-hero again.
I guess that's true.
So yeah, a villain in some respects, but we're following their perspective. I don't think he's as much of a clear-cut villain as in some films.
No, he's not as some.
I think he's a deeply
ruthless.
Ruthless. You could say evil if you want to. I mean, in a way, I think he could be considered that, and like a lot of things about the movies, emanating this almost natural, metaphysical just feeling of like there's something really. When he gives that monologue, and there's like, it seems pretty bad,
right?
But it's not all bad somehow, which is hard to believe despite some of the things we're watching.
And the power,
there's some power.
The abusive power, drunk on power, just a simple. The guy Dano comes to him and says, "Can you let me give a blessing to the well or whatever they were doing the structure?
To set up the new pipe.
To set up the new pipeline.
Yeah.
Can you let me do a blessing?" And he's like, "Oh, sure, that's fine." And then he doesn't even let him.
Trolls him, and that's
trolls him. Actually, that was a joke.
Oh, and also,
and then he gives the blessing, and he's not even religious. It's like
Yeah,
a fake blessing.
Yeah, and it makes it's even worse because he it's like a joke to him. He doesn't care.
Right.
So it's like really doubly
I
spitting.
mean, he's quite a dick.
There's some layers.
There's some layers.
There's some Shrek with this movie.
There's some onions. Yes.
Some onions, some parfaits. I mean, getting back at him too. Another scene I still analyzed, which was great, which I loved, was when he kind of like goes in, trying to kind of make a deal again. All right, but he has to go and basically kind of renounce things and says, I've abandoned my child.
Yes.
He's been trying to like.
Oh my God.
And I love the scene where
it was also fake.
He was, but well.
No, it was fake.
It was fake.
Well,
no,
the child part.
The part where he talks about abandoning his son.
I think he actually felt guilty about that.
And that's some great acting. You can tell the subtle difference between him pretending to get upset and then he does. There's a nerve.
Yes.
Abandon my child.
Yes.
Like that's one of the great moments.
It really is.
I've abandoned my boy.
Because he felt that. That was real. That's I think his only. Not only, but one of the very few positive qualities is that love for the son.
I love the scene in the church too, because once again, we didn't talk about it much with No Country, but there's also some religious angles on both sides interweaving.
Yeah, it's not as obvious as in this movie, but
there was some in Country about the nature of things. And I love that where it's like, casting the demon out and it's moving with the camera as we see him moving out. And then it cuts to show
good camera work.
The monster's actually still in the building.
Right,
and he's like, this is a joke. Like, I'm right here. Like, it's, so it's like, it's the human evil that we're ignoring. So there's that. You get something else. I do have another one to talk about.
Okay.
We remember how we were joking because it's like the Old West kind of the expansion, big business,
Lone Ranger,
Manifest Destiny, all that stuff. Lone Ranger's surprisingly more lighthearted.
Always talk about that.
Lone Ranger. Good movie. Another one of the greats. The fact that we were joking about how there aren't too many characters in the movie that are like good per se. A lot of people aren't much better than him.
The father that owns the farm is probably the best one.
But he beats his daughter.
That's right. But he beats his daughter. We find out.
So that's his flaw.
Which to be fair,
back in the day,
it was like 1900. Like, but okay.
But they were nice to people.
But he was
strangers.
pissed.
So it was like you saw. Two sides. But
really, the realtor
was like, "Oh yeah, I'll help you. Here's the land." You talk to these people.
He was the best
they
one.
might buy. They might buy. You might have to do this.
Yeah,
he would kept helping them. But I really loved the scene after he kills his fake brother, where the old man's like, "Oh, what you been doing out here?"
Oh yeah,
it's like, I'll sell you the land, but you have to donate to the church and join my church, and get him into that scene with Dano.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I don't really, and of course, Plainview does not want to do that.
Right.
He's not about that at all. Wonder why? He's just whatever he thinks he's above it or whatever. Sinner doesn't care about it.
Yeah.
But the guy's like, well, I think after what you've done, you have some sins to confess. What do you mean? Like the gun. Like,
right.
That he could totally turn me in. So that was pretty.
That was good.
That great.
That guy was good. Old man was
like
good.
109 or whatever.
Yeah, he was old.
But, so that was a great scene.
Yeah, that was a good one.
So I also did a nice thing for his son, the girl. He's like, you beat your daughter. You're not going to beat your daughter.
Right. You're not going to beat your daughter anymore.
And then he ends up marrying that girl. So he did something good.
Who I love.
Yeah,
she was. That's what I said. Her and the realtor, the two best characters.
We were joking, like she's a good character, and you're like, wow, you stay with them, learn sign language. Like, yeah, she's gonna move with me to Mexico.
Yeah, he didn't.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
She learned sign language. Your daughter did.
Since you can't do it yourself, you're not a real man. He's just. You think he might need to go to therapy?
Back in the day, they didn't do that. I guess
Freud was new.
Freud was brand new. Have you heard about that hot new guy, Freud?
Oh, Freud! You talk about your feelings. What is this nonsense?
All right, so we got to talk about the twin.
Oh yeah,
because here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm watching it for the first time.
Yeah,
you've seen it before.
Long time ago, yeah.
So Dano comes in as Eli, does the bit. Then he comes back as Paul, or maybe it's reverse. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I think maybe the main guy is Eli.
It's Paul,
I think it was Paul.
Eli's the preacher. Yeah.
Yeah. So then, anyway, he comes back as Eli, and then they make camp or whatever, and then we find out.
I kind of love that scene.
We don't find out for a good half hour.
It's a twist, kind of.
That they're beating each other, the Eli and the dad. And he's saying something about,
I'm the brother that
Paul.
stayed.
Yeah, the brother that stayed. Whatever. And I said to you, I'm sorry, what? Does this guy have a twin brother?
Yeah.
And you say, no, I think he's just like manifesting through himself, this and that and the other thing.
Uh-huh.
And so then it comes up again at the very, very end.
Oh, yeah.
When Plainview says, when your brother came to me, or when Paul came to me, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So then the movie's over, and I'm like, okay, I gotta look this up. I don't understand. So after you left, I looked up an article about it, and yes, okay. So here's the story about that. This is the one thing I looked up about the movie in the background.
Because that's interesting.
So originally, it was not Paul Dano playing both roles. There was another actor playing. Oh, I lost it on the wiki, but there was another actor playing the Paul character.
Paul. Okay. Paul Dano.
And then like fake Paul. And after a couple of weeks, there were a couple different rumors. One was he didn't really get along with Anderson and didn't really see the vision. Another was Day-Lewis was too intense for him doing the method.
I believe this.
And that's the one I kind of believe. But I think Anderson's probably pretty intense too.
Yeah.
And so then Anderson decided, okay, you know what? We'll have Dano play both the roles. But here's why I don't like that.
Okay.
Because, okay, well, I have different thoughts on it.
I kind of like
if it was two different people, then we wouldn't have thought anything of it.
Yeah.
And
it wouldn't
seem that interesting.
I thought it was interesting.
With the two people, but it's not obvious enough. This was your second time through the movie, and at the end, you were still like, I don't know. And that's what the article said, though. The article was like, people don't understand. It's vague. Da 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 da.
Yeah.
I
kind of liked that.
I did not. I think not that I need everything to be handed to me on a silver platter, but I think the first time it's mentioned, you go, okay, interesting. And then, but I think there should be more to it than that. I get it, fine. Give us the half hour where we don't know it's the same.
Yeah.
Or where we think it's the same person.
Well,
but because, and you had pointed out too,
it seemed ambiguous
that when Dano came up to show them where they were going to camp,
they were like,
but
the reaction was interesting.
The reaction was interesting, and to me, not the reaction I think of somebody who assumed this was identical twins or something.
Yeah.
So I just think it should have maybe been played out a little bit differently, and that is definitely a negative in the movie for me.
Okay. Not so much for me. I found that very interesting.
You liked it.
Because I think a lot of things about the movie are very allegorical anyway. We've got duality. So I thought it kind of worked. I thought it was a minor thing.
How about they had different actors at the beginning? I thought that would have been much worse.
Yeah, that actually...
I don't mind that it's the same actor. I just think after the initial half hour of not knowing, then the reveal it for sure. Mm-hmm. Because neither of us really knew through the conversation with his father.
I was like, huh.
Yeah.
They didn't make it very clear.
Different actors, I think, would have been much worse.
Because then it would have been, it just would have been another guy. Because
right.
It does add an interesting layer where like, there's a twin brother.
It really does.
They're very different people.
I just wish they would have made it more clear-cut by the end of the movie.
Yeah, maybe by the end. I agree.
Which I guess maybe they do a little bit in the bowling alley scene, but...
They do.
But yeah.
A little bit. Yeah.
So that's definitely one of my negatives. But Dano was great.
Yeah.
And the preacher bit, I loved... I mean, listen, this is about as... obvious. I was just gonna say is on the nose, good versus evil. Like,
it's pretty big.
Yeah, and I that didn't affect me in the negative that it was so on the nose because it was very well done.
It's very elaborate, you could say.
But but I think this almost is more of a good versus evil story than No Country for Old Men.
That's more gray.
That's I think a little more gray man.
I think there's a little gray in There Will Be Blood.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it is definitely more looking at the big differences,
right?
Or the ideas of the differences. Because do we see a whole lot of good in the movie? Like really, from a lot of people, it's
not really.
Even like the son and his girlfriend, it's like more circumstantial, like little bit players in this big evil business, dog eat dog world kind of thing. They're similar in that regard, too, in the movies.
So bad versus bad, I guess, is what you're saying.
Bad versus less bad? Well, I mean, okay, here's a question for you.
This is a real pick-me-up, this movie.
I know, they're both great.
Yeah.
Well, who's worse? Who do you like more or less? Do you like Eli more, or do you like Daniel Plainview more? Who are you more on the side? Because you don't really like him very much, but you're like, you should have given him that $10,000. Like, he's right. He's not wrong. Like, please.
That was... Yeah, okay. Now that you say that...
But for a businessman that sticks with things, he didn't follow through because he doesn't like him.
Well, and listen...
Like what he represents.
And what's funny is, okay...
He's a fake, though.
Look,
he's also
here's
not genuine.
the deal. He's not... he's not genuine, you're right.
Plainview is true to who he is, and Eli is not.
All right.
Eli is greedy and not really about the cloth.
You're right. And we don't do a lot of politics on my channel, but... And this is funny because this was in 2007, but... When a certain person ran for president in 2016, it came out that he never paid on his debts. He would have construction done and not pay the people. And so when that came up in the movie, I just thought, wow, what an exact matchup here.
Well, it's the dark side of capitalism. Is what the movie's about.
You can crush people. You are able to crush people because they can't do anything.
And it's all about me and getting above and looking out for my own interests and not caring about anybody. And that's kind of
interesting.
The whole thing's a commentary on that. It's all the big tycoons of the day.
Yes.
Represented by one man.
So I think for me, this story is actually probably more relatable than No Country for Old Men.
I think they're both,
because I don't see myself in that situation, but I think most of us can see ourselves sort of in a situation of,
directly or
being a slave to the man here and
the working
right, blue collar, and all of that stuff.
But one thing I did love,
but again, Brolin, same.
They both have the everyman element, and I really, really love the opening of the movie, where it is just him as the working man, as a nobody.
Yes, that is very interesting.
Out by himself, trying to make it,
and he almost dies. Yeah,
almost dying for it. So in a way, I understand why he's invested, and I kind of respect it. And he didn't have anybody helping him. Is the choice? We know he has family he abandoned, not talking to or whatever. But
stole that kid.
Stole that kid. Well, the kid didn't have a back then. He would.
I guess that's true.
He would have been.
Yeah, that's true.
But
all right. So who do you like more? Eli or Plainview? I guess maybe I never answered. I would say Plainview. I like. Do you?
Yeah, because Eli is not.
Man.
Eli is disingenuous. He's not that much better. He just pretends to be. And also,
I guess that's a good point.
I think he's supposed to be more Snake-like, but I guess you feel more bad for him in the end because he does get.
Well, yeah, he's desperate at the end.
But he he kind of. In a weird way, he wants to try to be Daniel, but he never quite has the ability.
He can't do it.
He's not good at it.
Ever do it. No.
And but I guess his brother was, which is clearly an issue, which is why he beats up his dad.
Right. Well, and that scene right there, the beating up at the father scene.
That was intense.
Of course, the father beats the daughter too, but
we see he's not that great.
But that's the first scene where we really see, okay, this guy actually sucks too. Yikes.
So I kind of like Plainview more.
I'm a little torn on my answer, but I would lean, I guess, towards Plainview.
You're Rip Torn is what
Rip Torn. I do prefer Rip Torn and to either of
Men in Black again.
Men in Black. Actually, it comes back around.
Yeah.
All right, so with that, let's give our grades here. We'll look up the classic Rotten and Ebert.
Okay.
This one is clearly for me the inferior film.
Okay.
But by how much, I don't know. Like this for me, if I'm between an A+ and an A, for the other one, I think I'm between an A- and a B+ for this. I'm gonna put this one on the higher end.
Okay.
Whereas I put No Country a little bit on the lower end. I'm gonna leave this with an A-.
Well, I was ready to give it an A+.
Really?
I think,
well, give it. Look, many people love this movie.
I think my A+.
Don't go by me.
Yeah, I mean it's somewhere between a very high A and an A+. I agree with that. The muddled thing with the twins is
I didn't care for that,
but I like the way it worked for the tone of the movie.
Okay,
so it didn't bother me. I thought it actually worked with everything allegorically.
And you think maybe this is one of the great cinematic characters is Plainview,
and I think that's the issue too. Yeah. Is that even if the movie's like only an A, it is an A++ performance. I mean, this might be. This is probably the best performance of his I've seen.
We got to watch Left Foot because I've never seen it.
And The Name of the Father is a good one.
Oh yeah, you like that one.
And but I mean, this is the thing though. I think this is his best performance.
Okay.
Maybe with Lincoln. This is such a good...
Oh, Lincoln was good. But you know what? Lincoln, we knew.
Lincoln.
Like, the thing is, I'm Lincoln, and I'm... Right, he did the Raymond Massey bit.
He has to become this whole new person.
This is a new person. And this is why I keep saying that
Daniel Day-Lewis.
No, well, he's great, but he is one of the greats. You keep saying that. But
you know it.
I already know it. I don't need to announce. But no, I have been saying this for the last couple of years. I'm a big proponent for the Oscars should have 5 men, 5 women, best actor, best actress, and 5 slots for people playing real people.
Ooh.
Because yes, the performances are great, but
you have something.
Jessica Chastain isn't Tammy Faye really until the hair and makeup people come in.
I saw that.
But and that was a good movie. But other people have to create something completely from scratch.
As opposed to you can look at like photos and you can look at
footage, and you can hear tapes and
that's good.
I think it's easy to be Freddie Mercury, especially since he didn't even sing in the movie; he just lip sync. It's easy to be Freddie Mercury, but it's harder to be
a new
Daniel Plainview,
made up person. And Daniel Plainview feels like a real person.
So to me,
and you were like asking, "Is this person? Did he?"
I actually didn't know,
and I could believe it.
He didn't. Turns out,
but
yes. So I'm a full proponent of that because of that, I would say this is a better performance than Lincoln.
Yes. Oh, although
You know.
I think my favorite has always been your favorite, Bill William Cutting. The
Oh,
butcher.
Bill, I thought you were going to say Last of the Mohicans again.
No, he was okay in that.
Cutting. Cutting's great except for the stupid name and Leo's character.
I love that. Well, you can say his character sucks because of another character.
No, I was just saying about the movie in general.
Oh yeah, that is the worst thing.
So
yeah.
this is a little bit less on the critic, 91.
Pretty
but I think
close.
audience scores exactly the same, wasn't it? 86.
It's about the same.
So it's 91, 86.
These are pretty close.
Very close. So let's see a couple of the negatives here. And let's see if I agree with any of them since I was a little bit less than you with my... Not much.
No, it's fine. You know goodness, usually.
Histrionic. I don't know what that means.
It's being much like history.
Oh, okay. Fatally confused and socially evasive. There Will Be Blood is all the worse
What's its
for
message?
touching upon important subjects, oil, and religion. I actually think that was one of the strong suits of the movie.
It touched on
Is
some
how
big
it
stuff.
how it really portrayed some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Fairly realistic. Who suggested the John Huston accent? I think that was John Huston's an old actor from like the 30s. I think it's Angelica Houston's father actually.
Yeah. I know the name.
I think that's probably how people talked. I didn't find it like cartoony or anything.
It sounded like an older dialect, like older.
I mean, it's
accents.
easy to mimic with the milkshake bit.
I mean, true,
drink,
but I don't do
mean,
it as well as he does.
No,
I can admit that.
Who does? All right, Daniel Day-Lewis does an oil maniac in this emotionally drenched, gut-slicing, and grueling bipolar gore.
That sounds.
I didn't find the movie that gory.
Honestly, some parts were. See, that review sounds good. Like that's.
I know, that's
like,
an A.
Yeah, like emotions.
All right,
blood.
so they count this B- counts as a negative. I don't know about that. I think that's like right on the edge of positive.
It's positive. It's a B.
It's a B-. Now let's get real.
Almost a B.
These moments linger long after you've left the theater. Blah blah blah.
So it made an
Oh,
impression.
Paul Dano's smug, moon-faced preacher. Well, that was the point. That's how he got over.
That's his character.
Because he was kind of baby-faced and. All right, am I missing the point of this movie? I don't agree with any of those. You know what I mean? More oil and sweat than passion and ideas flow through There Will Be Blood. I think they had a lot of ideas and passion, actually.
Yeah,
they
very,
tried.
Very passionate. They didn't try.
Individual scenes and sequences are too strange, haunting, and emotionally right for the film to be dismissed. Oh, okay, so that might be good. Here again, wait, this is 2.5 out of 4. I think of that as a positive. If they're doing a 50-50, all right, well, whatever. So really, none of the negatives were below like a C plus or a B minus.
But these
so
descriptions, they're describing the movie. It's haunting. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be.
All right, so
I don't know.
really, this should probably be 100% because none of those.
These people are trying to be negative.
Yeah, they're trying to find something. All right, well, we didn't look up Ebert. Do you think that's another 4?
How about 3.5?
I think probably. Yeah, I think it's.
Maybe
I don't
3.5.
think it's going to be as high as the other one.
What if it was great movies?
That would be. How do you tell though?
I don't know with him. It's
you have
hard.
the book, I know.
Well,
right? Don't you?
I was thinking about getting one of his books.
You actually should. What's this called? There Will Be Blood.
There Will Be Blood.
I keep wanting to call it Milkshake.
I know there will be milkshakes. He should have sold that.
I want him to have a good tagline though for this one, just like
No Country
Good
for
Country
Dead
for Dead Men. All right, let's see with this. A story in terminating in madness. 3.5. All right, you got it. Let's scroll down here. Usually the first 3 paragraphs are all description. Yeah, plot synopsis.
He's remembering the newspapers before the internet told you everything.
Right.
Let us summarize.
The movie settles down into the portrait of 2 personalities striving for domination over their realms. The addition of Plainview's half-brother gives him someone to confide in at last. The performance by Day-Lewis may well win an Oscar nomination. He won the award, Ebert. Get real.
Oh, he's a nomination.
If he wins, he should do the right thing and thank in his acceptance speech the late John Huston.
Oh, he didn't.
What is with the John Huston
That's why
stuff?
he gave it 3.5. He didn't like the
His
Huston
voice
bit.
in the role seems like a frank imitation, right down to the cadence. We're gonna have to see like a clip or something of an old John Huston movie, because I don't know the reference, but like that to me seems like, not that I lived then, but it seems like an authentic.
I think it worked for me.
Yeah.
But I guess they don't like him mimicking John Huston.
That's hilarious.
That's why he didn't give it 4 stars.
3.5 on that.
That's kind of
Chigurh
funny.
imitated no one.
There you go.
So, or
There you go.
Bardem.
There you go.
All right. So this was a good one. Not the best double that we've done,
No.
but definitely a far cry from some of the earlier ones of the year.
Yeah.
Sister Act 2 was rough.
Banger Sisters.
Banger Sisters was horrible. Cool World was less
not
than we remembered.
Yeah.
So yeah, next month.
Shorties.
2 shorties, 2 Christmas shorties, or Christmas adjacent, I guess, for one of them. But it's the anniversary of Muppet Christmas Carol, so we're going to pair that with The Nightmare Before Christmas,
Which you have resisted watching for a long time.
I think I saw a good chunk of it in college.
Never saw the whole thing?
I don't think I've ever seen the whole thing. Although I know the soundtrack backwards and forwards because of my Hot Topic days. Although I think that was the emo punk version. Like I remember Korn did the one song.
I think Marilyn Manson did one.
Like so. Maybe I don't even remember the real versions. But you know, look, and we'll talk about this next month. But this is another one of those movies. Legacy, Princess Bride again,
Fight Club,
Sandlot again. Yeah. Everyone is just, this is the greatest movie ever made.
So you're gonna be like,
so I watch it and I'm like, but we'll see. I've been surprised by that.
I like it.
There've been a couple that I've watched after the fact and said, I get it.
I always liked it.
Die Hard was one of them.
I never
loved
liked
Die Hard.
I think quite as much as a lot of other people, but you know, I'm fine with people saying they love it. You know, it's one of those things.
And Muppets, you know, we haven't really reviewed Muppets since the old Film Fanatics days.
Yeah.
Well, the second one, I guess, Muppets Most Wanted.
Did we watch the other one for Old Classic?
Yeah. Oh, the original?
Not the original. Not Muppets Take Manhattan.
Oh,
like the one with.
Yes, I think eventually we did watch that as a new classic.
Okay.
And then we reviewed Most Wanted as a new movie, which was the one with Ty Burrell and
enjoy those.
Bad Kermit.
And Sam Eagle was just so much in that movie. He was on
I know, he's one of my favorites.
And I watched the Christmas special recently, and he
with
had one
Sam
line,
the Eagle,
and he was like, "Why am I here?"
I know he wasn't like a hot character back in the day,
but he was funny. He had one line, he was like, "What am I doing here?" Like he didn't want to be there.
So I'm excited to watch that. And yeah, that would be a quick one. Quick movies, and we'll see if the review is quick, but
probably quicker than this.
Probably quicker than this, as most are. We are looking for ideas though for 2023, and the criteria, of course, is by increments of 5. Starting 10, with 10 years. So starting with 15 years. So the oldest one we'll do is 2008. Because anything 2013 we already reviewed on Film Fanatics.
Yeah.
So 2008, 2003, 1998, backwards. I've already gotten a slew of requests or suggestions, I should say, which actually our one next month is by suggestion.
Oh, wow.
From one of my frequent watchers, Nyan. They comment on everything. I love them.
Thank you.
And they had suggested the Muppets and Christmas Double, so we'll do that. But yes, if you have any ideas, I know Tim usually gives us some good ideas, and we'll look as well. But yeah, we're almost to the new year. A new year of Dan's Big Movie.
No, how many how many years is it for Dan's Big Movie?
This has been
2.
2, and I think we did 3 months the year before.
Okay, wow.
Pee-wee's Playhouse and Charlie's Angels.
When's the anniversary for when does the season, so to speak, begin? When was Pee-wee's?
What
month that was?
August or September.
Okay.
So somewhere in there. But I don't think we did it every month. I think we did that and then skipped a couple months and then did and then we were like, oh, let's do this as a thing. And then we did Charlie's Angels and I think one more that year. So anyway, thank you for watching. Joe, thanks as always.
Welcome.
Great to see you, buddy. And we'll see everybody next time on Dan Reviews It. Bye.
There will be men.